We're back. I've no idea why it does that. So annoying. It's like, I haven't touched it, but it goes, nah, not gonna work today. Sorry, you're gonna have to unplug me and plug me back in again. Stupid thing. Anyway, morning. How are you all doing? Hello, everybody. I said hello to everybody. So, hello, everybody again. Here we go. It's gonna be one of those days today, isn't it? It'll be one of those days. Right. Let's quickly do a recap of yesterday. Kick off. So, ADR reversals. It's been a quiet week with ADR reversals this week. We haven't had too many this week so far. Obviously, yesterday was the only day, but what the hell? We didn't have an awful lot towards back end of last week either. It's been a fairly quiet, flat week. So, ADR reversals strategy did 0.97% yesterday, banked 1.12% this morning. Everything's flat, sitting in 0.5, one trade on. So yeah, absolutely flying ADR reversals. Only done 5% this month, but 5% is 5%. H1 M5 mean reversion, 1.93% banked yesterday, sitting in 0.18 profit. Weird not being in drawdown, but we are. Nothing banked today, 1.93. So that's the H1 RSI extensions, M5 mean reversion reversal alerts. H4 M5 mean reversion, 1.8% banked yesterday, 0.98 banked so far this morning, sitting in 0.2 drawdown. And the H1 hedging set file, 1.79% banked yesterday, 0.21 today, sitting in 3% drawdown. There's nothing there scary apart from this euro US dollar. I say it's not really scary. It's 0.94% in drawdown, so it's 1%, I think. So yeah, flying. So that's 6 point something percent. Can't remember what it was. 6 point something. Don't know. Nearly 7% again today. Yeah. So yeah, really good good results so far. This month, news. We've had the GDP, the claimant counts for the pound this morning came out as a negative number, i.e. bigger, which means unemployment has gone up temporarily. So that's not good for the pound. If we have a quick look at the pound pairs, bit of a negative reaction to it. Not massive, but it is negative. It's not, yeah, it's fairly massive, isn't it? So yeah, big moves down. So we're probably going to get some ADRs potentially on the pound pairs today. So there could be some good mean reversion opportunities on the pound pairs. So just keep an eye on those. But that's the only news we've got this morning. We've got the economic sentiment later, which doesn't tend to do an awful lot. Sometimes the DAX does move off of it. But the big news today is the CAD CPI and the retail sales for the US dollar at 130. So CPI is the biggie. That's what we've got the main focus of this week, actually. So 1:30 this afternoon, we're going to get some decent movement off the CAD. That will also move the US dollar as well. And then we've got retail for the US dollar, which will obviously move the US dollar and the CAD as well. So there's two big news events coupled together there. If you're on Fidelcrest, you won't be able to trade that because that's something to do with harmonized something or other. Go and look at the Fidelcrest news feed if you've got a Fidelcrest account. We've got Lagarde speaking at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that's it. You need to also be aware of overnight news, which is the wage price index. This is again to do with unemployment for the Australian dollar. The wage price index doesn't tend to do a massive amount. It's basically a measurement of how much people have been paid. So it's not to do with unemployment numbers. It's to do with what people are actually earning. So if you put up everybody's salary, it doesn't mean there's more people employed or unemployed. It just means they're earning more money, which isn't really related that much to unemployment. It does, however, move sometimes. We don't get a lot of news with the Aussies. So it's kind of like, let's use everything we can to move the market sort of thing. So it does move it sometimes, but that is overnight. So just be aware of that tomorrow morning. If you've got any Aussie pairs or New Zealand pairs on, they might get affected by that. So there's your news for the day, forecast. Financial Juice seems to be having a funny 5 minutes. Okay. So there's the UK unemployment. Rate hikes are close to an end. Make your mind up. The guy yesterday said they weren't. Chinese news, World Bank of Australia. pausing or raising policy by... Well, that's helpful, isn't it? Royal Bank of Australia are either going to put their rates up or not in May. That's really handy. Thanks for that. 3 minutes to the open. A bit. So the Aussies are on 3.85, went up 0.25. They're thinking about pausing again. They're nuts if they are. Well, inflation, actually, to be fair, inflation is coming down pretty quick now. So, and they're stable on unemployment. So there is an argument for that, which is weak for the Aussie. So we'll see. But yeah, so potentially slightly bearish news on the Australian dollar there. US plans to buy 3 million barrels of oil. That's only a plan. It's not something that's happened. So it's not that important. If I was voting now for June, I would vote to hold. So yeah, we know about the rates freezing for the US. That's it. Right, so there's your news covered. So that's the results from yesterday and the news. We'll flick over to the DAX and have a look at that. So DAX, I seem to have moved my charts. But mucking about. So DAX, we've got a big gap fill today to the upside. So for the opening range breakout, we've got 50 seconds to the open. That 5-minute candle there is also going to act as your 15-minute pre, because that's the first 2 candles before. So if you're taking the 15-minute pre-market breakout or the 5-minute pre-market breakout, it's this one big black candle here that you're going to be taking the break on. So we may well get pushed down at the open, a fake move out the lows. So look, if we do that, look for signs of reversals starting. So bullish engulfings, hammers, that sort of stuff at support resistance. We'll have a look at support resistance zones in a minute. And then potentially a run back up to fill that gap at some point today. Gaps get filled on the same day quite often, more than 50% of the time. So, but they don't necessarily just go straight for a run. They sometimes move down and run back up again. I took my DAX off yesterday. There we go. So there's your pre-market 5/15 today. We've just pushed out to the lows. So we'll have a quick look at where we're potentially going, not on the Dow, on the DAX. Wow, no propulsion gap targets at all. So where we are now is yesterday's low, this dotted line here. Then we've got previous day's low, which is the gap fill there. Failing that, it's ADR today, which is last week's low. So downside-wise, I'd be looking for this to be a false breakout straight back up into there, or potentially a little run down to there and come back up to fill that gap. If we're going to rally all the way down to that low, obviously you're looking at coming back and doing this sometime later this week, potentially, as we stay in this massive range. So I would say you want to be looking for bullish moves fairly early on today, but we'll see. We'll watch that unfold. Let's just catch up on the chat. Morning, Diamond. Morning, Stefan. Morning, Freighter. Morning, Monkey Man. GC ADR low. Oh, nice. So there's a nice breakout there. I take it you're short on this then, Diamond. You're not out of this yet, I guess. So I got out of this move, this squeeze on aggressive drawdown control there last week. Week before last, actually. If you weren't out there, you should have been out there. You shouldn't be in it here, unless you're taking a new position, obviously. I reckon if you got in there, you're out. ADR low would be nice today. I'd get in long on that. China growth news affecting Aussie and New Zealand. A little bit of weakness there. That I would say is more likely to do with the Australian news overnight that they are potentially pausing their interest rates. Maybe a bit soon, but New Zealand's not moving really much at the moment. For your ADR reversal set, are you taking entries at 100%? Yes. Morning, Michael. Yeah, all the ADR set files, all 100% entries. It's the one on the blog post, basically. Same thing. 100%. Right, so that is your false break, potentially. We didn't even tap yesterday's low on that. We got 1.5 minutes on this candle. Let's just see what happens on this candle. There's zero propulsion gap targets. You can see how efficiently this has been traded for the last 2 weeks, really. I mean, there's no reason for it to go anywhere but down. So we've got the gap fill still hanging over us here. And we've got this little micro gap here. Yeah, that is, and this propulsion gap target. And obviously this big one is filled. The reason it's not painted in is because we had a gap. Yeah, I like it short, and I especially like it from here. But look at the price action and the range. We're really contracting on this at the minute. There's no real direction. So micro moves, that is it. It's either going to do that or it's going to do that, I reckon, today. So do you go for it now? This looks like a really good long entry right here, just hitting the button. I'm not going to do it myself. Blimey. Surprise. Looking over at my P&L, I've got 1.5 grand in there. Nice. My pound shorts mainly. I'm short in pound New Zealand and pound yen at the moment. Pound New Zealand, short there, and pound yen. That one I shorted off of. That was ADR yesterday, wasn't it? I think 183. Yeah, so that was an ADR reversal from yesterday. So I took this one yesterday, this ADR reversal. There's your 5-minute opening range in. So if you're taking the 5-minute opening range break, you are about to go short. Short. So it is running away from the gap this morning. So yesterday, this was an ADR yesterday. So ADR on this pair is 156. That was 183. So I got in with an ADR reversal on that one at 170.151. So I got in somewhere around here. So there was a reversal alert. Oh, I think that was it, actually. Was that it? 170.151? No, it was up here somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere in there. I got in somewhere around there on an ADR reversal. So that's playing out for propulsion. Last entry on it was up there. So very nice. Okay, so DAX is struggling to make lows here. So they've bought up yesterday's low at the moment. So we're either going to run an attempt previous day's low, or this is it. This looks like rejection to me. Look at these wicks. Mr. Wick has entered the building. He's studying the DAX very, 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 very carefully. Tempted to take this. I'm not going to. When I say I'm tempted to take it on the Fidelcrest account because I've got to manually trade that. EA's trading automatically. Right. Afternoon, Thomas Coolish. You really need to change your name to Tommy's Very Cool. Said that before. Morning, Brian. Morning, Anna. Right. Morning, John. So let's get on with analysis. So this play here looks to me like it's a long. They're buying up yesterday's low at the moment. So there's a limit orders, all the lows basically. This is why I have the previous lows on there. So yesterday's low and the previous day's low. You tend to find there's always limit orders sitting at these levels.